2 weeks ago, while I was coaching a silver buddy of mine, I identified 15 mistakes in his gameplay that are almost universal at every level of elo. Sadly, there aren't a lot of videos that go straight into these problems. The majority of people just talk about general things like movement and aiming. I'm Kimmy, the manliest man with a girl's name, WestJet Europe edition. And in this video, you will see how many of these common mistakes you know, how many you actually do yourself, and why these mistakes are so common and how to avoid them. Also, only 14% of you are subscribed, so make sure you subscribe. Alright, let's kick this off with poor site management on defense. One of the most common mistakes is stacking too many players on one side, leaving the other sides wide open. This usually results in easy losses when the enemy pushes the unguarded site. Actually, talking is key here. If you're on defense and you hear or see enemies pushing a site, call it out immediately. This not only helps in covering the site, but also in preventing the enemy from getting easy plants and post-plant setups. Stop trying to be a hero and think that you can kill 2-3 people and get some highlights. You don't get elo for highlights. Avoid over-rotating. Wait for solid information before making the call. If you're the one holding mid, your job is to provide info and support rotations without abandoning your post too early. Good site management involves knowing when to hold your ground and when to shift, all while keeping the communication lines open with your team. Next up is the lack of team play and coordination. Solo queuing heroes, I'm looking at you. Simple callouts like enemy positions, health status, and utility usage can turn the tide of a match. Always remember to trade kills. If your teammate goes down, ensure you're in a position to immediately trade them. Sticking together also allows for better utility usage. Combo your abilities for maximum effect. For instance, a well-timed flash followed by a push can clear a site much more effectively than individual efforts. Coordination and teamwork can often outplay raw individual skill, so prioritize playing as a unit. Over-reliance on rushing is another biggie. If you keep rushing the same site every round without any variation, you're going to get predictably countered, at least in theory. Mix up your strategies, throw in some fakes, and keep the enemy guessing. A good mix of fast and slow plays can make a huge difference. Rushing can be effective, but it needs to be part of a broader strategy. Communicate with your team to plan fakes or split pushes to confuse the enemy. Instead of always going full speed, sometimes slow your approach to catch the defenders off guard. This is what we did a lot in CS, simply entering the site on shift with legit no utilities being thrown. Adaptability is key. If you notice the enemy stacking a site you've been favoring, it's time to switch things up. Improper lurking techniques can really hurt your game. Lurking is not just about hanging back and hoping to catch someone off guard. It's about providing valuable information and supporting your team's push at the right moment. Good lurkers should have a strong sense of timing and map awareness. They should communicate enemy positions and make sure they're not just wasting time in irrelevant parts of the map. Effective lurking means knowing when to make your move. Stay hidden until the enemy is distracted by your team's main push.
Now we have to wait until they're gonna make some pressure.
Yeah, right.
Then strike from an unexpected angle. Also, avoid overcommitting to a lurk. If your team needs you, be ready to join them quickly. The value of a good lurker comes from their ability to disrupt and confuse the enemy, creating opportunities for their team. Let's talk utility. It's shocking how many players either don't use their utility or use it poorly. Your smokes, flashes, and mollies are there for a reason. They can change the outcome of a round if used correctly. Don't hold on to your utility for too long. Use it to gain control of areas, deny enemy vision, and support your teammates. Understand the timing and placement of your utilities. For example, smoking off choke points can prevent the enemy from pushing or force them into a predictable path. Flashes should be used to blind enemies before peeking, not just thrown randomly. Good utility usage requires practice and knowledge of the map. Spend time in custom games learning the best spots to throw your utilities and watch pro players to see how they use their abilities effectively. Next up is poor scaling and space control. This is when players push into areas without using utility or taking the necessary precautions. You can't just rush in expecting to win fights. Use your smokes, flashes, and mollies to cover angles and block sightlines. Scaling properly means moving together as a team and taking control of the space gradually and safely. Make sure you're not giving the enemy easy shots. Check corners. Use utility to clear out common spots, and move in sync with your teammates. Remember, if you take a site but lose 2 players in the process, you're setting yourself up for a difficult post-plant situation. Scaling efficiently keeps your team alive and in control. Another common mistake is overcrouching in gunfights. A lot of players have the habit of hitting the crouch button as soon as they start shooting. While crouching can help with accuracy, it also makes you a sitting duck. Your movement becomes predictable, and enemies can easily line up headshots. Instead, mix up your movement. Strafe while shooting and only crouch when you need that extra bit of accuracy for a headshot. Practicing this in deathmatch or aim trainers can help you break the habit of overcrouching and make your movements less predictable. Bad movement and positioning are killers in Valorant. Standing still or making predictable movements makes you an easy target. You need to master strafing, peeking, and using cover effectively. Always move with a purpose and don't just run out into the open without a plan. When peeking, don't just swing wide every time. Use shoulder peeking to bait out shots and gather information without exposing yourself. Positioning is also key. Always be aware of where your enemies could be, and position yourself to minimize risk while maximizing your chances of winning duels. Focusing too much on advanced techniques without mastering the basics is a huge mistake. Fundamentals like aim, positioning, and communication are the backbone of your gameplay.
No, my first is kill, bro.
Fuck you.
If you can't hit your shots or position yourself correctly, no amount of advanced tactics will save you. Spend time in aim trainers, practice your movement, and work on your communication with your team. Make sure you have a solid foundation before trying to pull off fancy plays. Remember, even the best players rely on strong fundamentals to succeed, so stop trying to do your cool jumps with Raze. Most likely you'll just die like a bot. Jumping to conclusions and overthinking can lead to poor decisions. If you make assumptions without solid information, you're likely to get caught off guard. Likewise, overthinking situations can cause hesitation and slow reactions. Stick to the basics, gather information, communicate with your team, and make decisions based on what you know. Trust your instincts, but don't let them cloud your judgment. Keep it simple, and don't overcomplicate things. Often, the simplest strategies are the most effective. Moving on to mistake number 11. Inconsistent agent selection. Constantly switching agents prevent you from mastering any role. By jumping from one agent to another, you're not giving yourself the chance to fully understand their strengths and weaknesses. Stick to a few main agents that suit your playstyle and focus on mastering them. I prefer a dude on my team who only plays Sova for 2000 hours than some dude who has 300 hours on every agent but doesn't know how to play anyone correctly.
Arrivederci.
Grinding game after game can be counterproductive if you're not giving yourself time to rest and reflect. Fatigue leads to poor decision making, slower reactions, and a general decline in performance. Use downtime to review your matches, watch pro gameplay, or just relax. Balancing playtime with rest ensures you stay at the top of your game without burning out. Remember, quality practice beats quantity every time. That's what I always say in every video, only play when you feel like playing. Mistake number 13 is a big one. Lack of confidence and doom mentality. Negative mindset can severely impact your performance. If you go into matches expecting to lose, you're already setting yourself up for failure. Even if things aren't going your way, focus on what you can control. Learn from your mistakes, but don't dwell on them. If you actually learn from your losses and don't just use that doom mentality, you can avoid mistakes and actually improve. Trust me, if you switch your mentality from a doomer to someone who takes responsibility and improves, you're gonna grow not just as a player, but as a person. Ineffective communication is another common mistake. Clear and concise communication helps ensure everyone is on the same page. Vague callouts or lack of communication can lead to missed opportunities and poor coordination.
Arrivederci.
If you hear someone, please don't shout into the mic to the team every 2 seconds that there is someone B. We understood the first time. Also, don't shout when you die. No one cares. Just do the comm and don't talk. Also, while you're dead, don't talk. Finally, mistake number 15. Not learning from mistakes. If you're not reviewing your gameplay and understanding what went wrong, you're missing out on a huge opportunity to improve. The top players in CS and Valorant are only doing this. At some point, you learn 10 times more information if you just watch your own VODs. You see where you make mistakes and you adjust. This is by far the most important thing that you need to do to improve. Record your games, and don't just watch your good games. Watch all of them. You need to see where you played badly, analyze why, and improve. So there you have it. The 15 most common mistakes you make in Valorant. If you understand these things, you 10x your game easily, so do them.
Arrivederci.